Hello, everyone, and thank you all so much for joining us on our Friday weekly webinars. Today, I am joined by our board-certified attorney, Ruby Powers, and we are here to discuss about the H-1 visa news and updates. And just a few things on our board-certified attorney. She has been licensed since 2008, and she founded our firm back in 2009. And like I mentioned, he is a board-certified immigration and nationality attorney.
Thanks so much. We did a webinar on the H-1B just a few weeks ago. So this is it. Hopefully you watch that one and then you come watch this one, because this was one that we did just to do like a little refresher updates, because a lot of times what happens is, H-1B season always is in the spring for the cap. And what happens is there's always some little change that comes out in like January or early February, and we're all scrambled to internalize it and put it in our process and procedures and as we prepare for the this coming season. So we're going to go ahead and talk about the registration process, at least on some recent updates that happened. It's short, but we wanted to get this out there information to you. So this is the timeline for 2022. Now we're talking about fiscal year 2023. So this is an example of what happened last year. Now it gets a little confusing because last year was 2021, but we were talking about fiscal year 2022. Now we're in 2022 and we're talking about fiscal year 2023. So this is how it went down. You were able to submit the beginning of your registration March 2nd of 2021. And then the period opened on the 9th and it closed on the 25th. And then the 31st of March is when they were starting to let people know. I think they let them know a little bit earlier than the 31st. Now, remember, back in the day, not too long ago, a couple years ago, you had to submit all your application and put your hat in the ring, as they would say. And you might have gotten chosen, you might have not. But if you were, then they had your packet. But unfortunately, it made everyone have to do all that work to put it all together and not knowing if you're getting chosen in the cap or in the lottery. So then they created a couple years ago this registration process so that you just do a bare minimum. And then if you're chosen, then you get the rest of the packet ready. So by the end of March, we knew whether or not we were ready to submit April 1st. And we weren't in such a worry to submit it by April 1st as before, because it was a rush. And then, let's see, they opened up the filing period again. So not all the people who won the lottery, I guess you could say, or approved or decided to go forward. And so they ran the petition, the registration process again in August or earlier. And then they let people submit them who hadn't had the opportunity before. And then they also opened it a third time. And so this allowed, but look how close that November 22nd, the earliest date that those petitions selected for the third period may be filed. So those folks would be were filing those things right before they were eligible to come in, which was October 1st, right? So like the biggest dates you always want to remember is April 1st, because that's the first date you can file, and October 1st is the first date you can actually get approved, because that's the first date of the fiscal year. So that was just a recap on what happened last year, and we anticipate it being very similar for this year. We haven't been told otherwise. The other thing that happened just, I guess December 23rd, right? So not too long ago, was that the US was going to allow consular officers to waive in-person interviews for H-1B and other certain non-immigrant visa applications through next year to help reduce that visa wait time. So it wouldn't be such a crunch time, everybody trying to get it. Because I mean, we saw a lot of chaos, right? People had been approved, but they couldn't get an appointment, and then get canceled the last minute. And they were going to other countries and trying to scramble. It was quite chaotic in that respect. So this is a welcomed change to have these appointments waived in certain circumstances. So this new authorization applies to temporary workers who meet certain conditions and were previously issued any type of visa and who have never been refused a visa unless such refusal was overcome or waived, and who have no apparent ineligibility or potential ineligibility. So it's pretty much for cases that are pretty clean cut, don't see any issues with why they need to call them in for an interview. So yay, that's smart. I'm glad they did that. So they all recently came out with some information that the H-1B visa approval rate for fiscal 2021 was the highest in a decade, even as pandemic-related travel restrictions meant the American Immigration Agency had to conduct a second visa lottery in order to meet its quota. And so, right, there's 85,000 visas available. So this is the highest approval rate and reflects a shift in the approach of the administration under Biden. And as you can see, these rates have gone up a lot. So we were up to 97% of approval rate in this last cycle. So the other thing that came out just recently as well was the US withdrawals, the proposal to change the H-1B selection criteria. There was a proposal under Trump that was going to rank eligibility based off of how much the applicant was going to make, and just sort of make, basically make some changes in that respect. And so the DHS planned to implement this new ranking system in time for March 2021. Now that rule has been vacated, DHS will continue with their current method of randomly selecting the registrations in the annual lottery. So it's not based off of how much the applicant would make, and this helps give more people opportunity. And then the most recent fiscal year, there were 275,000 registrations, and then they received 308 for the following year. So there definitely was more demand. I mean, I think that that's what we're going to see, is that if you're interested in H-1B for this coming season, you're going to want to have a consultation. You're going to want to have your job title, job description, have the company finances in order. You're going to want to have, if you have that potential applicant already in mind, you want to have their resume, CV, their education evaluation, and if it was a degree outside of the country, and you want to get all of that together before we have that conversation. Or we just have a conversation and then see how we'd like to proceed. But those are some of the things that you could start getting together to move forward. So this is the time to start having consults about the H-1B season for this coming year. And thank you so much for watching. Did I let people know how they can stay in touch with us?
Yeah, of course. So everyone can stay in touch with us by following us on all of our social medias. We are on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok now. We also have a LinkedIn. We also have a newsletter that you guys can subscribe to, where we send those out bi-weekly with some good information. And we also do these webinars every Friday. Okay, guys, well, thank you all so much for joining us this week. We will be back next week with a webinar on President Biden's immigration reform updates 1 year after his inauguration. And fun fact, it actually is right at 1 year after his inauguration. So it really does stand to the title.
Great. Well, stay with us and check out our TikTok and our Facebook